You're watching Hindustan Times. I'm Aditi Prasad, and the exit polls are finally here. 5 states, 161 million voters, 679 assembly seats, and it's all coming to a head now. Now, in some states, the race is so tight that a little more vote share here or there can change the entire outcome come results day, which is December 3rd. The results, of course, will be announced for this final lap ahead of 2024 race will come on December 3rd. But the exit polls, of course, have come out now. They don't always get it right, but nevertheless, everyone, including politicians, wait with bated breaths for these polls, and this election is no different. To decode the results of the exit polls, I have with me Ajit Kumar Jha, senior journalist and CEO and editorial director of Blitz India. I have Shikha Mukherjee, senior journalist, and I have Dhananjay Joshi, psychologist. He's yes, there you are, Dhananjay. Thanks for joining in. All of you, thanks for your time. But let me just dive straight in, as the race seems to be very tight in most states as far as the data shows, meaning no clear lead for any one party. For netas, it's hearts in their mouths and money in their pockets, literally, as no clear winners seem to be there. Let's start with Rajasthan. Let me put out some data and then get in all of you to weigh in. Rajasthan exit polls, some exit polls are out, others are not out. So, I mean, I'm just going to go with what we have. India Today Access My India is giving 80 to 100 seats to the BJP, 80 to 106 seats for the Congress. Again, very tight race. Times Now CC Research is giving 108 to 128 to the BJP and 56 to 72 to the Congress, which is a clear edge for the Congress, for the BJP, clearly in this exit poll. ABP voters 66 to 82 and 48 to 54 for the Congress. Others have 12. Republic Martis, the numbers are not here. News 24 Chanakya, the numbers are not here yet. And Jan Ki Baat, of course, again giving a complete edge, as you can see, to the BJP. So it's advantage BJP, tight race according to the India Today Access My India poll, but the others seem to be weighing in for the BJP, which is what we understood even in the opinion polls, that edge to the BJP for as opposed to the Gehlot government, which has been in power for the last 5 years. And Rajasthan has this thing of changing, governments every 5 years. The seesaw that happens every 5 years in Rajasthan. Let me bring you in, Ajit. I know because you have to leave at 8 o'clock. So let me bring you in to weigh in on this.
Well, if the problem with the exit polls are that who do you trust? I mean, obviously we are getting different results from different exit polls. When I saw, because I used to work for India Today, when I had looked at the India Today exit poll for Rajasthan, I was surprised because most pre-poll surveys and my own understanding was that there's going to be anti-incumbency. You rightly pointed out for the last 30 years, the incumbent government has lost. Ashok Gehlot was chief minister 3 times and he couldn't repeat himself. And then when I visited Rajasthan a little bit, Jaipur, Udaipur, Jodhpur and other areas, and what I saw made me believe that Congress was not coming back to power. Main reasons, all the sitting MLAs of Congress had been repeated. The reason being, I was told that when the choice of Congress president had come up, then the MLAs had voted in favor of Ashok Gehlot so that he could stay CM. So the loyalty factor was so important that he couldn't remove them, although he was told to remove more than half of them. So that is causing massive anti-incumbency, number one. Number two, all of us know the infighting between Gehlot and Sachin pilot. Therefore, the southern or let's say eastern Rajasthan, the Gujar-dominated areas were basically not going to vote in the same manner as it had voted in 2018 for the Congress. So we were expecting an anti-incumbency in Rajasthan. So as far as Rajasthan goes, when I saw the India Today, I said, wow, Mr. Gehlot seems to be bucking the anti-incumbency. But then other exit polls do not agree, especially the Times Now and couple of others. So I'm not able to comment on the exit poll, but my own understanding was that BJP sure shot in Rajasthan.
BJP sure shot in Rajasthan. Let me bring in Dhananjay Joshi. Dhananjay, looking at these exit polls, you're a psephologist. What
Right.
does your head say? Is it going to go down to the wires? Because very close contest in terms of vote share. But is that going to be advantage BJP in terms of seat share?
Well, Rajasthan, as we all know, has been switching sides election after election for the last 3 decades. This time around, there were two peculiar things. On the one hand, you saw some kind of, an aggressive position within the Congress. Ashok Gehlot, for the first time, trying to campaign very well and trying to build a consensus with Sachin Pilot and post this Bharat Jodo Yatra. There's some kind of a positivity in the Congress. On the other hand, uh, Vasundhra Raje practically controlled the BJP in Rajasthan. And though for the last 5 years there were other leaders who were coming up, we could hear of other names, there was no one clear face who was coming ahead. So, after many years, one was assuming that this is going to be a close contest. And looking at the India Today Access poll, it seems to be a close contest. What they're practically saying is a gap of 2 or 3 seats between both the major parties, and that is only somebody's guess. Pollster. There's always a margin of error in a poll, so it could
Yeah,
go
yeah.
either way. So that is one. If you're looking at the other polls, I think the poll by C voter doesn't really add up to 200 for some reason. But if looking at the other polls, there's an edge for the BJP. And uh, I the sense that one is getting from Rajasthan is that at the end of the election, right, as the ticket distribution, etc., happened, the Congress did not go as well as they were expecting to go, and some kind of an overconfidence has actually put them in a risk of about 25 to 30 seats. As you know, one of their candidates actually passed away during the election, so the election has been held only on 199 seats, and that candidate was in the ICU when he came when he was given a ticket. Similarly, there are candidates who are 85 years old, 80 years old. So a lot of infighting and then giving the same candidates a ticket again. Typical Congress, kind of hitting a self goal. Kind of a situation in Rajasthan. So even though Vasundhara Raje wasn't there, and they could have had a good run, I think ultimately it will be advantage BJP, but seems to be very close to call.
Shikha, let me bring you in there. Advantage BJP, but too close to call. Is this, not having a CM face in Rajasthan? Do you think, and because that's something that the BJP is going, traditionally been sort of going to town about and, taunting the Congress about not having a CM face in previous elections, in previous assembly elections, and this time no CM face on their side. Do you think that has something to do with the fact that what would have really, given the fact that Rajasthan is a state which goes from government to government every 5 years, there doesn't seem to be any clear way for the BJP this time.
Well, I think, one of the things that has not been discussed, and I think we need to discuss it, is that this very close contest between the BJP and the Congress in Rajasthan, one of the factors is that the BJP in Rajasthan itself has has been in a state of upheaval for the period of the entire elections. There have been alternatives that have been brought in to Vasundhara Scindia, and then there has been the Tomar factor, then there has been the Rathod factor. There have been so many uh, sort of mini stars who've been brought into the Rajasthan elections by the BJP that it is interesting that they needed quite so many faces to counter the Gehlot factor, and the fact that the Congress, uh, contrary to the upheaval that happened between Gehlot calling Sachin a Gaddar, and the kind of politics that happened over the divisions within the Congress, the Congress seems to have fought a more united campaign, and that, I think, is why you are getting this very, very close contest, this huge degree of uncertainty as to who will actually top the 100-seat mark.
What about the role of others, Ajit? Traditionally what happens is that when there's a very tight race and there are others in the 10 to 20 range, that other seats, independents, it normally over the last several years we've seen successive assembly elections that becomes advantage BJP. They've done it before. Resort politics will begin. There are some people who own resorts in Rajasthan. They're already sort of putting it out there that, somebody called me just now some time ago saying, "Bhai, mera bhi resort hai, bata dena," because now this whole conversation has begun about horse trading and money exchanging hands, and BJP. Therefore, what do you think will be the role of the others?
Well, it's a very good question, Aditi. But before I answer, just let me make one correction, because Shikha said the Tomar factor. The Tomar factor is actually in Madhya Pradesh, not in Rajasthan. Agriculture, Union Cabinet Agriculture Minister is contesting in Madhya Pradesh. In fact, in Rajasthan, yeah, of course. But in Rajasthan, there is some kind of, I don't know if it will happen, but they are trying to bring in Divya Kumari, who is the Jaipur Maharani as the sort of, parallel to Vijay Raje Scindia. But anyway, let me directly answer that question that Aditi asked me. Actually, it's a very good question. The reason is there are 3 or 4 other smaller parties, Bahujan Samaj Party being one, CPIM being the second, couple of smaller tribal parties, and at the same time AAP. So it's like a bunch of parties. And the thing about Rajasthan is, our pollster will know more since he's in the panel. Rajasthan has always shown very high number of independents. I have seen, out of 200, almost 20 independents winning in the past, which is 10%, right? Now, if Ashok Gehlot knows that, and he should, because he's the chief minister, these tribal parties and CPIM were desperately trying to form an alliance with the Congress. In fact, the CPIM just asked for 3 seats. Congress was ready to give 2, and they did not give them one more. Otherwise, they could have included the CPIM. Now, why is that important? For 2 reasons. In a tight race, if all these smaller parties were with Congress, maybe Congress would have swept Rajasthan, or at least come back to power if not swept, and therefore bucked the anti-incumbency. Now it seems that he may not be in a position to form the government, according to at least 2 of the other polls, number one. Number 2, remember, we are facing, after 5 months, we are facing Lok Sabha election, and Congress is supposed to be part of the India alliance. And within that India alliance, BSP is still not part of the India alliance, but CPM is. Sitaram Yechury is very much, in fact, a day before yesterday in Delhi, he held a meeting where he was talking about the leadership of Congress acceptable to the India alliance partners. Now, if Ashok Gehlot could not be that liberal, that flexible, that he could accommodate, one more player from CPM, therefore CPM would be with him, or BSP, or as I said, the tribal parties who were desperately wanting to ally with him, who were their allies in 2018. What they do, what Congress ends up doing in their typical arrogance of Congress, and maybe the BJP also does, but certainly the Congress, that once these independents win, or these tribal parties win, he breaks them and makes them join the Congress. Now, that is a real sort of, I would consider, very big brotherly attitude towards regional parties, and it might not help them in bucking the anti-incumbency in Rajasthan, and certainly it will not help them during the negotiations for the India alliance for the 2024 Lok Sabha. So this question that you asked could have been the make or break question for Ashok Gehlot. I
Could
think
have been
it's rather myopic of him not to consider that.
myopic right now because yes, you're right. 2024 come 2024, these others are all going to be coming into the same camp as Congress, and then therefore it might prove to be a dire situation then, or a do or die situation at that time. But coming back to Rajasthan, if BJP pulls through, what we're going to see a rerun, Gehlot versus Sachin Pilot rerun there, because again, no CM face, about some dozen CM aspirants. What do you think is going to happen there? Let me bring in Shikha to sort of weigh in on that.
Well, I think, the BJP will have to figure out how it's going to deal with Vasundhra Raje Scindia to begin with. And she has a lot of independence on her side because she has put up a lot of her disgruntled friends have contested the elections as independents. Now the BJP will have to factor the Vasundhara Raje position and figure out whether it likes Vasundhara or it does not want to have Vasundhara as the face. That is going to be a very, very difficult and complex thing for the BJP. It can try and steamroll the issue, but it will not end the tensions within the BJP in the Rajasthan party. Going forward to 2024, it will be a complicated issue for the BJP. Having said that, let me also say that in Rajasthan, as in other states, the decision not to have a face, which also applies to the case of Madhya Pradesh, the problem is that the face in all these elections was Narendra Modi. He was the chief, he was the principal contestant. He was the person who uh, made, on the basis of whom it would be a make or break situation for the BJP in all these states. Therefore, how is it going to find a leader out of the numbers that have been fielded? I mean, ministers have been fielded, other leaders have been fielded as alternatives. How is the BJP going to find a,
All right.
a
Yeah,
common
I get
common and preferred candidate as chief minister? There are too many contestants. It's going to
too
it's
many.
going to take
I
it's
think,
going to, it's
yeah,
going to take
and I
time.
think well, both of us, including me, possibly jumped the gun because it's not that BJP has really gotten the numbers. We have to wait till December
One.
3rd for the numbers coming in. And as Dhananjay, as I said, it's a tight race. The Congress might also get the upper hand, and if that happens, Gehlot would have literally performed magic for the Congress, because as we said earlier, the every 5 years, the people of the state get the 5-year itch, so to
Right.
speak, and change governments. But not having not so, what happens with, if the votes swing, and if the the final tally, it's the Congress which is making a comeback. It's the credit will go to Gehlot's uh, schemes, the welfare schemes which he's focused on, or do you think Sachin Pilot's factor will count?
Well,
Will this
in
establish
the well in the
Rajasthan
given situation, yeah,
as
please
the largest
complete your
taxpayer?
question.
Sorry, if the swing, if it holds, and if votes swing a little, and if Congress comes back, will it establish for once and for all, will it settle the debate between Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot?
Well, as far as this leadership tussle is concerned, I think it's very clear that this is going to be Mr. Gehlot is already 73. So I'm not very sure if he will have another election to contest and or to lead at least as chief minister. So Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, okay. So as far as this particular election is concerned, if it will of course be a masterstroke for Mr. Gehlot, who's otherwise a very seasoned politician, as we all know. And other than that, it will, or the credit will also go to the Congress leadership for managing this crisis. Please remember, this is the only state where a young leader hasn't really walked off. Jyotiraditya Scindia walked off from the Congress. Ashok Tawar and who was the PCC president in Haryana walked away from because of his tussle with Mr. Hooda. So this generational battle in the Congress was quite a big issue, and the central leadership has in a way mitigated that, at least for now, in Rajasthan. So the two things that will be clear is, one, Mr. Gehlot pulls this one out, and after this, of course, Sachin Pilot will have his own run. He's pretty young, he has a long career ahead of him. The second point is that though it will be to Mr. Gehlot's credit, I think the fact that Vasundhra Raje Scindia wasn't there at the helm of affairs in the BJP is a major factor that one will have to consider.
Very
As it was just discussed, she had many of her loyalists have contested as independents. There was a time when it was nearly assumed that she can easily break 80% of the BJP, which hasn't happened, of course. And the other factor is that all these independents or these small parties like, the Kirodi Minas, the Raman Beniwal and all these, regional leaders who've got small pockets of influence. It's only one of these two big leaders in Rajasthan who can pull them on either side. So if it were to be a Diya Kumari or a Sachin Pilot, it would be much difficult for them to, close some kind of an understanding with these 15, 20 or 10, 15, as many as these
okay. Let me
independents
let
and
me
smaller
in the
parties
interest.
come in.
Got it. Let me, in the interest of time, move on to Chhattisgarh now, because that's the next big state where
Right.
exit polls have come in. Sorry, I'm cutting you short, Dhananjay. And
That's right.
exit poll results for so far that have come in. Exit poll results for the state of Chhattisgarh. Let's have them on the screens, people. And so, of course, total number of seats are 90, majority mark in Chhattisgarh being 46. Numbers, it seems to be advantage Congress. Tight rates, but advantage Congress. India Today, Access My India is giving 40 to 50 seats to Congress, 36 to 46 seats to the BJP. Times Now ETC Research giving 48 to 56 seats to the Congress and 30 to 40 seats to the BJP. ABC Voter is giving 41 to 53 seats to the Congress, 36 to 48 seats to the BJP, and Jan Ki Baat giving 42 to 53 seats to the Congress, 34 to 45 seats to the BJP. Let me come straight to you. Daniel Fernandez joining us now. Daniel, your sense of which way, what do these exit poll numbers tell you? Were you expecting this?
I think looking at all the exit poll numbers, I think this time around the exit pollsters are finding it a little difficult to guess the election results.
Yeah.
In a way saying both parties are winning or losing the elections. Uh, it's that kind of numbers, 46 to 56, 56 to 68, and so these are the kind of numbers that are completely confusing. Either it is very difficult for
Everyone is hedging their bets. Nobody's clear कि होने क्या वाला है. अरे
no
चलो इधर.
because this no because they are finding it difficult to guess this election, and if these numbers have to taken as they are, and so we feel that in Chhattisgarh the Congress with a reduced performance is coming back to power. In Rajasthan, where the trends naturally are where either of the party is having a comfortable majority, that trend looks like changing. In Madhya Pradesh, you know, the BJP is in a comfortable position, and in some places, surprisingly, it is showing that the Congress may win Telangana. Now, if we really go from the point of view of the polls, if this is true, it's shocking. It is shocking. This is not something that particularly observers have expected. The Congress in Chhattisgarh, for example, uh, is in the same position that it was 5 years ago. BJP still have to give them a tough fight in that sense, though it had a lot of issues in fighting and so on and so forth. The kind of reduced votes, I'm not able to accept it. I think that they should touch 55 to 60 mark, but in terms of the polls, they are not showing that kind of numbers. In Madhya Pradesh, yes, the BJP did phenomenally well in the last 6 months in terms of their campaign, in terms of their organization, putting their house in order. The result shows. I think that's the only result that clearly the posters are looking right. In Rajasthan and in Andhra, in the Telangana, I think we will have surprise results. Eventually, these results
Okay.
will kind of.
We're going actually state by state. So right now we are on Chhattisgarh, and so let's just bring in Anurag Naidu, who's joined us. Anurag is a political analyst, and Anurag, the numbers on the screen are of Chhattisgarh. Your sense, because it seems that the Congress, it's a tight race, but Congress seems to have an edge. There are some who are giving it a huge edge. There are others who are not giving it a huge edge, but all the exit polls are giving Congress an edge, even though it's a tight race. It seems anti-incumbency. There's no anti-incumbency, it seems, for Bhupesh Baghel. Your sense, Anurag?
Yeah, hi. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Hi, Aditi. Aditi, I think Chhattisgarh was one of the surprises. A lot of people were thinking about, it is going to be the Congress, it is going to be Mr. Baghel, it's going to be a landslide, it's no brainer, it's a one-way traffic, so on and so forth. But after the first leg of the election, that's where the BJP picked up some heat. And if you see the exit polls internally, if you actually dissect these polls, and you will understand the first phase, it actually predicted a advantage BJP, and that's where BJP felt we are there in the game, and then they got all together, and that's exactly when BJP becomes super active. They ran this campaign of corruption, they ran this campaign of Mahadevab, they ran this corruption, campaign of the wrongdoings of Mr. Baghel and the ministers, and it went on really well. But I think it was too late. So the numbers are predicting the same, that BJP almost came in close, but they see that Congress still ends up with a slight edge. My worry here is, and one of the factors that I'm very, very keenly watching is, what if BJP or what if Congress stops at somewhere 42 and 43, and BJP catches up close to 40? And let's not forget and undermine the T.S. Singh Dev factor, which is the Baba factor, and he has been on loggerheads with Mr. Baghel, and there were also talks that he's in touch with the BJP, and as a action of caution, Mr. Baghel did not give the seats to a lot of supporters of Mr. Singh Dev, particularly in his own belt, and just to see that the impact is reduced. But even now, Mr. Singh Dev, with about 5 or 6 MLAs, decides to cross over to the BJP, or maybe a larger chunk. You never know. That might be a little damaging for the Congress. So Congress, if they have to, in my view, in the current situation when these in loggerheads with Mr. Singh Dev and Mr. Baghel are in loggerheads, I think they need anything above 50 to have a safe and comfortable government. Otherwise, it can be anyone's game. So I think it is going to be very interesting. I still cannot call it a game for Mr. Baghel, but I still see BJP is in the run, because if BJP is close to anywhere close to 40, I think they will definitely take their chances to try and form a government there in Chhattisgarh.
Shikha, let me bring you in. And while I completely agree with you, Anurag, because that's how the BJP operates or has been operating over the last several polls. If Sam Dham Dand Bhed करके सरकार किसी तरह
Yes.
बनी जानी चाहिए. But that apart, let me talk to Shikha and get a sense of BJP not having a CM face again in Chhattisgarh, like in the Rajasthan. Do you think that might have been a factor for because nothing? Also, BJP's local leadership being in a disarray, literally in a disarray in Chhattisgarh. How does that play out? I mean, has that had an impact on this entire resurgent Congress in Chhattisgarh?
No, I think, apart from the fact that there is no specific CM face, the BJP has been in disarray. I think one of the most interesting parts of what I'm seeing in the BJP's lack of traction in Chhattisgarh, because it's not getting close. Nowhere is it really close to to almost ousting the Baghel government. It can do so on the margins. So
Right.
what is fascinating about this particular performance is two. One, that despite the BJP's big push to grab tribal votes, Chhattisgarh, which is a predominantly tribal state,
Hmm.
the BJP is not cutting it as big as it should have, given the fact that it went so far ahead in trying to woo the tribal votes. That's one. The second thing is that the BJP has been trying very hard, working very hard to convince women that they are the party for women voters. And that also doesn't seem to have given it the kind of edge that is needed to decisively oust Baghel from the race. I think these are two factors which need to be taken into account in every state that's gone to the polls this time, where the BJP's efforts to woo women and to woo tribal votes, and finally, I think the BJP's efforts to project itself as the Annadata of the poor through the 5-year extension of the PM Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. The Annadata of the poor, that too doesn't seem to have given it the kind of decisive edge that one would have expected from all three significant interventions by the BJP leadership in just before, on the eve of the polls, and actually in violation of the Model Code of Conduct during the poll process.
But I think it's also, I think that has diminished largely, the Annadata image, etc., has diminished largely because other parties have caught up in that game. Two can play the game, they say. So Congress has come up with its own set of sort of incentives or welfare schemes for the poor. Now let's talk about the farmers' issue. Dhananjay, you want to come in here? It is one of the top issues in this election. The Congress's promise of a farm loan waiver, increase of MSP of paddy, was a total game changer for the party in 2018 and seems to be working even this time around, Dhananjay.
Right. So that's what I wanted to say, that even in Rajasthan, very briefly, just touching that state, and in Chhattisgarh, the Congress has worked on the policy framework and also kind of propagated that. So whether it's farm loan waivers, whether it is free healthcare schemes, etc. So they have tried to counter the BJP on these grounds. The other thing about factionalism within the Congress. So you see, Bhupesh Baghel was PCC president before becoming the chief minister. He was very popular on the ground. On the other hand, he's a OBC as well. When you look at Scindia and other leaders, they have not been so popular on the ground. And unlike what could happen in Madhya Pradesh, where the BJP could break away the Congress government with getting Scindia on their side, here you don't have somebody who's so popular that MLAs are actually going to take the risk of leaving their seat. In Scindia's case, what Scindia's popularity in the Chambal Gwalior region is unmatched. There are very few people who have got that kind of a popularity in a region. Let's say the
Right.
Hoodas in their Rohtak Jhajjar region, etc. There
Hmm.
will be very few exceptions. So that was an exception. So my own sense is, looking at this farm loan waiver, health schemes, this whole narrative of attacking poverty and providing government support, all this together has worked to the Congress's advantage. And my own sense is, if one were to take a call based on these exit poll results, I think like Rajasthan is a close call. Uh, Chhattisgarh is clearly advantage Congress. That's the sense that I have.
Okay, then let me just move over to Madhya Pradesh. Chhattisgarh is advantage Congress, Rajasthan close call, but advantage BJP in some uh, exit poll results. But let's just come to Madhya Pradesh now in the interest of time again, because I know some of you have other places to be at. So Rajasthan can be, sorry, Madhya Pradesh can be flashed on the screen. Total number of seats 230, majority mark at 116. India Today Access My India gives 140 to 162 seats to the BJP, 68 to 90 seats to the INC. Times Now gives 105 to 119 seats to the BJP, 17 seats, sorry, and 109 to 125 seats to the Congress. ABP voter going the other way, giving 88 to 112 seats to the BJP, 113 to 137 to the Congress. Republic giving again 180 to 130 to the BJP, 97 to 107 to the Congress. The others are also there, but let me just restrict myself to these three, four, five exit polls. Otherwise, because some of them showing very massive swings. If India Today Access My India going in one direction, APPC voter literally going in the other direction. But let me come to you, Anurag. How do you see this? How do you see these numbers? Again, of course, pollsters seem to be confused. Uh, there's no one answer, but there seems to be, most of the pollsters seem to be giving it to the BJP. A tight fight, but the BJP scoring in Madhya Pradesh.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting, Aditi. But my personal view would be, I would go with Access My India's polls. I mean, out of all the pollsters, for me personally, the most credible one would be Access My India. And I know, Pradeep also has a very emotional connect with Madhya Pradesh. He's from Madhya Pradesh and he's done an extensive research on Madhya Pradesh. And if they're actually putting this numbers, which is kind of a stellar number at this point, if you see the trend, nobody has given this kind of a landslide majority for BJP. There must be a reason behind it. I mean, I have to speak to these guys and find out what exactly was the reason. But things that come into my mind when I read or when I was touring Madhya Pradesh recently for the election season is what I saw is there was a personality contest between Shivraj Singh Chouhan and Kamal Nath. And Congress has to understand that Kamal Nath, what happened in Madhya Pradesh election, also in Rajasthan. Congress outsourced their campaign to Kamal Nath and Mr. Gehlot. And Kamal Nath, if you actually see, when I was in Bhopal and Indore and other places, I could barely see images of Rahul Gandhi or Priyanka Gandhi or even Mr. Kharge in any poster. It was only Kamal Nath. So the personality contest between Kamal Nath versus Shivraj Singh eventually. And Shivraj Singh in the first leg, although he looked like, party has downplayed him or party has, distanced himself. Of course, the party has not named any chief minister face. But later he came in with the Gru Lakshmi Yojana and other schemes to attract the voters. That created a lot of spurt, a lot of popularity, again, brought in a lot of mojo for Shivraj Singh Chouhan. But end of the day, let's understand the moment it became a personality contest between Shivraj Singh Chouhan, Kamal Nath versus Shivraj Singh Chouhan. Let's not forget that Shivraj Singh Chouhan is by far the most popular personality of the BJP leader in Madhya Pradesh, and he has a very emotional connect. People have been talking about anti-incumbency. People have been talking about, fatigue. There is nothing as such because there is nothing against Mr. Shivraj Singh Chouhan. So I think going by the trend, It's going to be a landslide for BJP. And make no mistake, there was some people were asking me, then why did BJP not declare him as a chief minister candidate? The simple reason being he's been the chief minister for 3 times. And if they announce him again for the 4th time, then you really need to build up a new narrative for the 5th time. So they don't want to lose the 5th term, which they're going to face, 5 years down the line. So they really don't want to name a candidate, but they're getting benefited hugely by the popularity and the entire organizational skills of Mr. Shivraj Singh Chouhan.
But what if it comes down and so what if India Today, Access My India has got it wrong? What if? I mean, it's just a thing, because then it will come down to a tight contest. It will be Kamal versus Kamal Nath, because not projecting a CM face has not it may not be the best strategy, given the fact that people vote differently in national elections and local elections.
But of course, but Congress, if you see Aditi in the previous election, it was Digvijay Singh taking the Narmada Yatra, it was Kamal Nath, and it was Jyotiraditya. So even then, when Congress emerged as a single largest party in the past election, there were no declared CM face. Congress went in a joint leadership pattern. Even in Telangana in this election, although Revant is the face and the front-ending person, but all the posters will have Revant and Batti Vikramarka Mallu, who is the CLP leader. So there are two faces taking, that inclusive image. But if you see the posters in Madhya Pradesh, it is only Kamal Nath. So that is something, kind of very peculiar of Congress. And they should have at least, a lot of people say Digvijay Singh, ye hai, wo hai. But end of the day, this Narmada Yatra that he undertook in 2018, it created a lot of traction, and end of the day they ended up at the single largest party. So I think the mistake is there. They would have taken an inclusive leadership, not just one face, but you can give one face, but eventually the face should be...
Jyotiraditya Scindia was not a factor.
Well, I mean, look, Jyotiraditya Scindia, I won't see is not a factor, because his influence is restricted to only one belt, the Gwalior belt, and even there, his loyalists leaving the party. Even if you see this, I was actually breaking down into a lot of numbers, and I saw this, a lot of people, they have actually given advantage Congress in Jyotiraditya Scindia's bastion. It is otherwise all other places of Madhya Pradesh, that's where Congress is losing. So I think Jyotiraditya as a factor was not a big play here. That's why I tell people, it is not Jyotiraditya or Modi or anything. It is in the final push, Shivraj Singh Chouhan started. Of course, BJP did not declare any face of the chief minister, but he came in as a poster boy. And he came in, telling that I'm going to be a welfare government. It's going to be a socialist government. That kind of confidence he gave in. Whereas Kamal Nath, you need to have something to tell people. I mean, I can tell 100 things to people, but if I've never been in a position of responsibility, people will not trust me. So there was a deficit of trust on what Kamal Nath was speaking versus what the Shivraj Singh was speaking.
Okay, let me bring in Dhananjay at this point. Dhananjay, your sense of these numbers, how do you see this playing out come December 3rd?
Well, I'm honestly quite surprised, because my sense was that it's clearly an advantage for the Congress. And when I look at Access, which has a good track record, and I'm quite surprised. I would have been more with the C voter numbers. That's the sense that I would have had. Again, Yashwant has already played them safe. If I would have said anything north of 120, 115, 120 for the Congress. That's what my sense was. And there were reasons behind that. One, there is an element of fatigue when it comes to Shivraj Singh Chouhan's leadership, which is not to say that he's anywhere less popular. He's probably one of, if I may use the word, one of the most street smart politicians in today's times. And one of the reasons were also not naming him clearly as the leader in Madhya Pradesh could have been possibly that would have made his stature really big in the BJP. And 6 months from now, if the BJP for some reason were to stop at 220 seats, and then Shivraj Singh being one of the tall leaders, a 4-time CM kind of a name, that could have changed the equations in Delhi. So that could have been one of the reasons why his name wasn't taken. But of course, he's extremely popular. The second reason why I would have put my money on the Congress is because this time round ticket distribution was much smoother. Kamal Nath was entirely in control. There was no Scindia factor, etc. And Digvijaya Singh and Kamal Nath have had a long-standing understanding amongst themselves. Even
Hmm.
last election, they were sailing in the same direction. And the biggest factor was that in Gwalior Chambal region, more than 40 important leaders who left the Congress with Jyotiraditya Scindia had gone back to the Congress. So, looking at all these factors, I was under the impression, and when I went to the ground, I was quite confident that it would be Congress, but this actually puts a big question because
Daniel,
the more,
Daniel, okay, got it, got it.
yeah,
Daniel, sorry, in the interest of time, Daniel, you're saying you wanted to come in there quickly, then you move
I,
on to
I
Telangana.
see I see a very interesting trend. Wherever there is a clear-cut chief ministerial candidate, whether it is Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, or Rajasthan or Telangana, we are seeing that those parties who have a CM candidate are doing better, much better than those parties who do not have a clear-cut CM candidate in the exit polls. In Madhya Pradesh, the Congress not declaring Kamal Nath, there was no direct fight because the person is also program, he's also a policy, and he's also the platform which articulates the policies and the programs and the vision for the party. So, Congress lacked an agenda because it lacked a CM face. Also means I also saw the posters of Kamal Nath is everywhere, but Kamal Nath as a person was nowhere. For a chief minister who was a chief minister just 2.5 3 years ago, he was not aggressively campaigning. And Shivraj Singh Chouhan, who his own party for a for a long time thought that they can put him in the back seat because they don't have any leadership to take on the Congress or any face like Shivraj Singh Chouhan, had to bring him and back him. And then you saw the prime minister sitting with him. So I think people need that face, that assurance, and they want to judge you and they want to see that who are they voting for. And if we really go through the exit polls, I can see that where there is a clear cut chief minister candidate and there's something to believe, something to feel, something to touch, something to trust, put their trust in, those parties are perhaps doing well.
But in Telangana, that's not true. Let me just get the exit poll figures on the screen at first glance. Again, 119 seats, majority mark at 60. India Today, Access My India, the numbers are still to come. But the numbers that have come, Republic 46 to 56 to the
India
BRS.
today, India today, Axis is giving clear majority to Congress party.
Congress.
Yeah.
Okay, the numbers have come, it seems you're saying. Okay, we
Mm.
don't seem to have it here, but I'm sure we'll update this as soon as it's updated here. But right now, for now, we don't seem to have those numbers. Having said that, let's look at the other players which are there, and the other players being pollsters. News 24 today's Chanakya giving 24 to 42 to the BRS, again giving, as you were saying, India Today Access My India is giving a clean sweep to the Congress. Janki Bath giving again a tight race, but giving it to
True.
the giving edge to the Congress, and TV9 Bharatvash along with Paul Strat again neck to neck race they are predicting. But in News 24 in today's Chanakya is giving it to the Congress, like you're saying. India Today Access My India is doing. You want to come in there? Because again, BRS, sorry, the KCR being the face there, but not really
KCR
happening.
KCR being the face there. Imagine that these results are true, and what
Hmm.
must have gone wrong. Uh, it is not a Revant Reddy victory or in a way the Congress victory. The kind of space that the BJP surrendered and the kind of arrangement BRS has with MIM, whether it has affected adversely the whole BRS calculation, may or may not. And second thing is that whether the Congress are the Reddys back in the Congress fold. I'm more concerned about that. I'm more curious about that. Are the Reddys back in the Congress fold? Is the Reddy Raj back in that part of the country? What I've been hearing and what people have been telling me that there has been a resurgence of the Reddy vote in Telangana, and that's what has got the kind of traction that Revant is getting. Because please understand one thing: these are states which were also not states which had lost leadership, lost base, and also lost the kind of resources that it had to fight that kind of elections. With
Correct.
Karnataka winning that election 6 months ago, Karnataka has also aided this election very closely. So there can be many factors why the Congress is doing much better, because in a way for 10 years BRS had no competition at all. No competition. Please understand the exemplary election results that parties or political leaders get. They also get because there is no competition. There is no leadership to challenge them. In the whole Andhra and Telangana states, the Congress leadership was almost wiped out. So if they are able to regain the confidence of the Reddys, if in in parts of Telangana, particularly the rural, the Congress is doing well, and there's a fatigue for sure. If two-time anti-incumbency, maybe this may be a surprising result for all of us.
Okay, interesting. What do you feel, Dhananjay? Because again, Telangana, the big thing was that BRS would sort of face anti-incumbency and a tough battle. Congress rejuvenated. Uh, you know, the Hyderabad area, the urban areas. How do you
Right.
think? Because they have Owaisi and his AIM. Uh, predictions say that they might get. The exit polls say that they might get a lesser number of seats than they actually did.
So, well, two or three things, takeaways from this whole, 1 hour discussion that we've had. One is, of course, the possibility of a Congress coming back in Rajasthan was one big takeaway. Now, coming straight to Telangana after that, the Tina factor, there is no alternative factor, was something that was there for KCR for a long time. And well, it's also a party that came out from a movement, so it had its own advantages. But in the last decade or so, you saw the BJP growing over there, the MIM and OAC growing within the Muslim vote bank within Telangana and other states as well. The big story here is if the Congress is actually so close, and maybe if it actually pulls off the election and forms the government, that is going
Hmm.
to be a big story. Now, two factors behind that clearly the polls are indicating. One, as you said, is that the OACs are not doing so well. So the MIM is not doing so well beyond maybe the Hyderabad, Nizamabad area. We don't have a breakup over there, but that's the sense that we get looking at this data. The
Hmm.
second is, of course, that the BJP hasn't done very well. So last Lok Sabha election, there was this whole story about the one state where the BJP will really grow in this election will be Telangana, because in other states they have already peaked. So Telangana was a big expectation for the BJP. The pre-poll surveys are not showing it, and the exit polls only confirmed that that's not happening. So as it was discussed, uh, the Congress seems to be gaining from it, consolidating both Muslim votes and also some Reddy votes. If that is the case, then we wouldn't be surprised if the Congress actually forms the government. And if that happens, it will be a very big boost for the Congress to have 2 out of 5 states below the Vindhyas, and that's going to be a very big boost for the next elections as well.
Absolutely, a huge boost ahead of 2024. Shikha, I want you to weigh in on this entire 2024 thing. But before that, I just want to show the Mizoram results, get the Mizoram exit polls in, so that we have, just then comments from you on how this is going to play out in 2024. Mizoram exit polls 2023, total seats 40, majority mark 21. India Today, Access My India does not have the results yet. I think everybody is going to put that to the last. But ABPC voter giving 15 to 21 seats to the MNF as well as Jan Ki Baat. But Jan Ki Baat is moving more towards the ZPM, and therefore, there's some circles saying a return of the MNF. Do you think that is going to play out there, Shikha, in Mizoram? What
I think
sense do you make of these
it's a very,
poll
very close
results?
contest between the MNF and the ZPM. And that is the story of the Mizoram elections, that the ZPM has emerged as a local challenger to the MNF. And
Congress doesn't seem
and
to have made.
and the interesting thing about that would be the BJP, which had some expectations, and for the BJP, the Mizoram election is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to remember that Zoramthanga said very clearly that he would not share a dais with Mr. Modi. Why? Because of the Manipur issue. Therefore,
Yes.
what happens in the Mizoram elections is going to be a kind of indicator of how the mood is going to be in a lot of the Northeast. And that is going to be very, very important for the 2024 elections, not because of the numbers of seats that are there in the Northeast, but because there is a moral message being conveyed by the voter in Mizoram.
Daniel Francis, what do these exit polls tell you about what's cooking for 2024?
In 2003, we had the same results, and in 2004, looking at the result, looking at the Mahod, the BJP had rescheduled the elections, had it earlier, and we saw what the results were. Uh, this time around, the 5 years ago when we had these elections, we had Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh going to the Congress, but somehow it did not reflect in the national mood as it should have for the national party. The question is that uh, in assemblies where the Congress in particular has good leadership, has good strategy, has good leaders, good workers, they can defeat the BJP. But somehow, with the nationally, the Congress looks like a lost party, and hence, my general conclusion would be that these elections would not have any impact on the national elections. We saw that how badly the Congress did in 2019 in states like Rajasthan and in states like Madhya Pradesh, including states like Chhattisgarh. They could have done much better, but they couldn't do it. Because national elections, when people are voting for the prime minister, they don't think that the Congress has a prime minister material as such, or prime ministerial leadership in the party to vote for. So, good news maybe for the Congress at the regional level. At the national level, my bet is that these elections will not have any impact as such,
Okay.
because the mood of the nation and the yardstick of that election is very different from this election. People, if they are voting for the Mr. Gehlot. They are voting for Mr. Baghel. They are voting for Revant Reddy. They are not voting for Rahul Gandhi. They are not voting for any other person who could possibly be the Congress candidate. Congress is still a 50-55 member party, and there is no vision of making it a party that crosses even the 100 mark. So, no impact on national elections of whatever the results are on the third.
But something for the India Alliance, Shikha.
Right. I think that I strongly disagree with the fact that the Congress does not have a face. It does have Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge, and
The prime ministerial candidate.
uh, I don't know whether he's not a prime
Really,
minister
him,
candidate.
he's
I'm
become
not sure that he's not a prime ministerial candidate, going by what happened
unless
yesterday in Delhi at the launch of his book. Having said that, and that was partly in provocation, let me also add that yes, the India alliance, the future of the India alliance as an opposition, as a united opposition to the BJP in 2024 will gather momentum post the results of these 5 states. And the better the Congress does, the better will be the position of the India alliance. And this is very straight. I mean, I'm just looking at the number of parliamentary seats that are there between these 5 states, Karnataka and Himachal. It comes to about 120 odd. In these states, it is the BJP versus the Congress, which is in a straight fight. I'm leaving aside the Uttar Pradesh. In these states, at this point, yes, Mr. Modi is a factor, but there is also an anti-incumbency factor, which Mr. Modi himself is acknowledging. The BJP itself is acknowledging that there is an anti-incumbency factor by doing the women's reservation, bringing in the women's reservation legislation in Parliament, which is a sham, because 33% women's reservation in Parliament and state assemblies, while there is 50% women's reservation in the panchayats, is ridiculous. Second, you have the Food Security Act extended by 5 years. In the past, at the peak of the COVID crisis, at the peak of the cost of living crisis in India, the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana was being extended 3 months at a time, for 6 months at a time. 5 years? What is the message that I am supposed to read? 2. Number 3 is that the BJP deliberately opted to send a message, and a good message. I'm not saying that the message was not necessary or is not good, about the role of the tribals in India's polity. Draupadi Murmu being one. If these elections in these 5 states don't reflect that all of this has worked strongly in favor of the BJP, it does make sense that there is an anti-incumbency factor at play. The fourth and last issue, which I did not refer to and I should, is that the BJP, including Mr. Modi, who is the star campaigner, has been consistently talking about the Pasmanda Muslim vote. If the Muslim vote is not convinced by Mr. Modi's campaign, if it's not convinced by the sort of outreach that the party has made, without, of course, nominating candidates who are Muslims, all of it suggests that there is, and as you very rightly pointed out, Telangana is where the BJP hope to gain ground. If it does not gain ground in Telangana, it's bad news for the BJP, because it has maxed out in all the other states. West Bengal, it tried to make fresh inroads. It hoped that it would gain vote. But it's not going to. It's maxed out. Therefore,
that's one way. That's one way of looking at it. And while entitled to have your point of view, but I'm sure the other way of looking at it is what we've spoken about before, that people vote differently in local elections and differently in national elections, and that has shown in West Bengal assembly elections versus general elections, that is shown last year in Rajasthan, in Chhattisgarh, in Madhya Pradesh. It's always it's been different strokes for different elections, so to speak, national as well as local. Both sides play a role, and you might also have a point, absolutely. So, but in a country as diverse as ours, with so much going on and so much impacting how and why somebody is casting a vote for a particular party, difficult to say what has worked or what has not worked. But thank you so much for giving us these perspectives on these exit polls. Thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you viewers for watching this broadcast. Hope this has given you some inkling of what is in store on December 3rd. But then, as they say, exit polls always come with a health warning, not necessarily always correct. And therefore, we'll have to wait for the results on December 3rd to have the final actual results of who's going to be the king in the Indian elections. in these respective 5 states? Or is it going to go down to the wire? And is it going to be a hung assembly in which of these states? Let's wait and watch for that one. Stay tuned to Hindustan Times.
Five states, 161 million voters, 679 assembly seats. Congress's guarantees versus BJP's Labharthis versus regional satraps. The final lap ahead of the 2024 race. Fastest results, live coverage, breaking news, in-depth analysis. Tune into HT Media, your election headquarters for the big verdict 2023.